Feel the warmth of my hand. The rhythm of my pulse. I'm not a supreme being. I'm flesh and blood, like you.
Not like me.
Like you. Different in appearance, yes. But we are both living beings. We are born, we grow, we live. And we die. In all the ways that matter, we are alike.
But you are the Picard.
Hello everyone, welcome back to Fully Functional, a TNG podcast. I'm Maggie, joined by Jeff and Dory.
Yo.
Jeff and I are huge Star Trek nerds, Dory's a Star Trek novice, and we are taking her on her first journey through Star Trek The Next Generation. Today we'll be discussing the Season 3 episode, Who Watches the Watchers? Original air date, October 14th, 1989. And as always, we'll take it to Dory for the recap.
Okay, so this is a lot. This is an
episode, yo.
Yeah, we got lots to talk about. We got lots to say. I got lots of notes, but all right, recap. Okay, so we start off. We're en route to. How do I pronounce? I've already forgotten how to pronounce it. I watched this yesterday. Mintaka. Oh my god. We're en route to Mintaka 3. There is a Federation anthropology group who've been there studying the inhabitants, and the Mintakans are like they're described as proto-Vulcan humanoids of the Bronze Age level. Quite peaceful, highly rational. So basically these people, like their reactor broke, so the team's coming to like repair their shit, and they're in this like lab that is hidden in a rock, but then you can see part of it at the outside. I don't know.
It's because I think they made a hologram to cover up the windows so that it just looks like rocks from outside.
Yeah.
And I guess the hologram thing is breaking.
And of course, in the actual episode, what they did was they put a matte painting outside so it looks like rocks from outside. Heyo.
Yeah. Also, we were outside in this episode, which looked like which is wild. Always like
fun backstory about that. They were at Vasquez Rocks, which is probably the most famous outdoor location in all of Star Trek. It was used a lot in the original series for the infamous Gorn fight with Captain Kirk and a guy in a rubber suit that looks terrible. And so they're really distinctive looking rocks that look very alien, and yet it's just someplace in a public park in California.
Okay, so we meet Dr. Barron, and on the screen they're talking to him, and he's like, yeah, we've got like 3 hours left of basically until like everything goes bad. Of course, the second he says that, there's like all these explosions and everybody like is injured. So the team goes down. Oh yeah, one guy gets away. This comes into play later. His name is Palmer. So then the away team, which is Data, Riker, Geordi, and Dr. C, they go down and they're seeing if everybody's like okay and whatever. And then we meet actor Ray Wise, whose character name I did not know until 25 minutes into the episode. Therefore, all my notes have him listed as Ray or Ray Wise. But I'm just going to keep referring to him as Ray in this as well. So actor Ray Wise is there as one of the Mintakans, and he's with his daughter OG, and they can see the like window of the lab, and they're like, the fuck is that? So Ray goes up to the window, he looks in, Data sees him, points him out to Riker, Ray falls back and gets injured. Dr. C goes out to, check on him and brings him back to the Enterprise. Do they, investigate to see if there's anybody else out there? Absolutely not. Of course not. So his daughter's just like, what the fuck just happened? So they treat Ray, and when he wakes up, he sees Picard in the most beautiful lighting, the most beautiful soft lighting, and immediately thinks, this man is a god. or no, he probably doesn't think this man is a god. He just thinks that's a god.
I mean, that's what I think.
To be fair, yes. And honestly, later, Picard does a bad job of like proving otherwise, but I'll get to that and I'll explain why. So Picard is like not happy about this because they are now in direct contact with these people. So it's it's kind of like a big fuck you to the Prime directive. But Dr. C is like, what am I supposed to do? Just like leave them to die? And Picard's like, she's like, not on my watch, which is why I truly,
okay.
This is why.
Picard doesn't say, he literally says, yes, you should have left them to die.
Yeah, I was trying to be nice about it.
Then why didn't you let him die is the exact quote.
Yeah.
Which is like, oof.
Yeah, Dr. C's like, because we were responsible for his injuries. And yeah, and I think Picard then he's like, I'm not sure I concur with that reasoning. And I'm like, Picard, you are wrong. This is why I'm so happy that Dr. C is back. Because she's the only one that like, will not talk back to him necessarily, but she just will stand up for this shit.
Yeah.
And I love it.
I feel like Dr. P would have let him die.
Oh, yes.
Yes, she would have been like, later, Gator.
Also, don't know if you noticed, but there was a small reference to the fact that Dr. Pulaski exists. I believe it will be the last one.
Yes, because then they're like, okay, we need to remove his memory of the encounter with the away team. But because Pulaski had some kind of technique, so they're like, we'll use her technique.
Yeah, she did it in Pen Pals.
Yeah, for that little girl, which was terrible. But then they're like, they also make sure to mention, they have a different genetic makeup, so like it might not work. Of course, it doesn't work.
Shocking.
So Ray goes back to, he's back on the land. He's reunited with his daughter, and he's like, so you guys, big news. There is a god. There was like, because their ancestors, truly, I kind of cringed through so much of this shit because it was so not on the nose, but just like so painfully on the nose.
Okay, this
like our
Star Trek is not known for being subtle. And this is not an episode that is subtle in any way. It is wearing its message on its sleeve, and then it is rubbing your nose in it like you're a dog that just shit on the carpet.
Well, here's the thing. I don't disagree with it, really, but
neither do I.
It's kind of surprising that, like, how fully they're, like, how head straight on they decided to, like, basically deal with this whole concept.
No, it's absolutely ham-fisted, and that's fine. But like that can definitely be a criticism of it as well.
Yeah. Okay. So Ray just spouts this whole thing of like, our ancestors believed in all this stuff, and like, we stopped believing in that, but then like I think we should now. And then his daughter's like, oh, it's like old superstitions, and he's like, maybe it's not. And so because they've realized that the memory thing didn't work, Troy and Riker go undercover. They put them in outfits and makeup. Mm-hmm. I had to pause. I laughed so hard for so many things of that whole, I loved it. Truly, number one, Riker, deep fee, he loves it. He loves a deep fee. Mm-hmm. And it was, there's also a very nice exchange, which like I'll save for later because I truly enjoyed their little, oh my gosh. Also, Troy doing like a little run, trying to keep up with Riker when he started walking. I died. It was so cute. I loved it. It's so minor, but I don't know. I just love it. But yeah, they have a really great exchange because on this planet, the women are, I don't know if we can say it's a matrilineal. No, I've always used this word wrong.
Matriarchal.
I always do it. Yes, matriarchal. Yes. Society necessarily, but like it sounds like the ladies make the decision, which is cool. And it's always nice to know that Riker is supportive. Riker, I think it may be safe to assume Riker is a feminist. Because he's always very down with all the women in power.
Riker is very feminist.
Yeah, so I always enjoy that because he always seems like from the 80s, like the kind of character that would be like, that really kind of gross alpha macho thing, but I really like that he's not, because he
Yes.
could have so easily been one of those characters.
I don't know if I've talked about this in a previous episode. I know I've had this conversation with people before, but I think that Riker is a perfect example of masculinity that is not toxic.
Yes. Yes. I think that's why, like, initially, like, we joked around, we called him a bro, but, like, I think he's proved, like, yeah, he does have some bro-ness, but, like,
He's a dog, is what he is. But that's okay, because he's also really respectful to everyone about it, and he makes sure that everybody's feelings are taken into account, because that's important.
I think he's somewhere between, like, bro and himbo, if you will.
Yeah. Definitely.
on the spectrum, because he's respectful to women, he is attractive, but, like, he's like, his, I don't think he's stupid, but, like, that's why he's somewhere on the spectrum
Yes.
Yeah.
between, like, bro and himbo.
But when he gets serious, he's an angry dad, so keep that in mind.
Yeah.
I think maybe that's just the spectrum for Riker. It's just bro to himbo. That's where we have to measure him on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
works for me.
The Riker scale, if you will. So they go to, investigate, and also because they're trying to find Palmer, the guy who got away, because they can't find him on, like, the different various, scans they're doing, because there's a lot of caves and shit.
Because there's a lot of plot problems. Minor detail about that. Did you notice that when he, quote unquote, fell out of the duck blind, he, like, the acting was absolutely atrocious, isn't it? And he basically, like, crawled out and then, like, fake fell down the hill, and it was really unconvincing.
Truly, I don't remember.
Well, that's how much it stood out then.
Yeah. Okay, so then we meet Nuria, who seems to be the leader of the group, and Fento, who is an old man. And Riker proves he really knows how to tie some knots, because, they find Palmer or something, and, they find Palmer, and they're like, this could be an issue, because, because Ray overhears Picard talking about Palmer. So they want to tie him up. Fento's like, okay, I'll tie him up. But then Riker's like, I can really tie people up, and ends up tying up Fento instead, taking Palmer. And, like, here's the thing that kills me. So Riker, like, has, like, a really decent head start, because Troy leads everybody in a different direction. I don't remember why she was leading them away.
I think she's like, oh, I found him or something, and everyone comes running. Like, she created a distraction.
Yeah. So, like, Riker, though, has, like, enough time that literally all he had to do was, like, get out into the open space, but he stops. And then, like, OG is, like, yelling, oh, he's there. And I'm like, okay, so, like, go right now. Like, beam up now. You're in an open space. Do it now. Instead, Riker, like, runs for it while carrying Palmer. And they keep going. And then there's the other guy with the bow who's running after them. And I'm like, why didn't you just beam up then? You had such a head start. Instead, you had to, like, run and hide until, like, an area which I would have thought would honestly be harder to beam up, because they kind of, like, went into a crevice in, like, a rock.
Yeah.
And so then they unfortunately, like, leave Troy down by herself, and they're like, okay, well,
I think what it is that they don't want anyone to see
they don't want
them
to
beam
see.
up. Yeah.
That's the thing, though. She already has, like, her dad's already said stuff. I think, like, I don't know. I think because she was already, like, kind of, like, she's already saw stuff. So, like, I was like,
Well, they don't want more people to see. Right now, it's just 2 people saying they saw this thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but she was one of the people that were there. So, like, there was this time where, like, it was just Riker, Palmer, and OG. And so, like, she's already seen shit, so why didn't they just beam up then? And then he started to run for it, and then the other guy with the bow and arrow showed up.
Well, they might not have known who exactly it was that was there.
I don't know. I just was like, they had the time. They just, like, made a weird run for it. I don't know how that helped. Anyways, so Ray thinks that they should harm Troy, and she should be punished. And Nuria, thankfully, has, like, a little bit of, like, some... I mean, they're a rational group for the most part. And so she's like, what now? I don't think we should harm her. And Ray is, like, this is truly, like, a case study on, like, how quickly religious, like,
Fanaticism manifests.
Oh, yeah. like in a second. This guy had no idea what Picard was hours ago, and then now all of a sudden he's like,
We must please the Picard.
Yeah. So yeah, he's like full out making shit up at this point of like, oh yeah, it will hold off the anger of the Picard if we kill her, and it's like, where are you even getting this from? Like, you're fully making this shit up.
In some fairness, this is probably based in, like, the old religion that they had. Like, he probably, like, remembers some of, like, the stories and stuff and has, like, decided to mix it in with his experience.
I mean, but this is just, like an escalation.
I think it is definitely part of the problem is that it's being ham-fisted, though.
Yeah, definitely.
So there's a whole discussion of, like, with Dr. Barron, who is recovered from, he was one of the guys in the lab, that Picard is now being recognized as a god by these people, so, like, he needs to set some boundaries or something. But Picard is, like, really not interested in that. He thinks it's all kind of, like, he doesn't like it at all, which is, like, fair. It would probably be really jarring for people to think you're a god very suddenly. However, I think guidelines are a good idea.
Yeah, but
to an extent.
I do understand his thing of, like, especially with the Prime Directive, it's like, I'm not gonna pretend I'm their god and give them commandments. Like, no.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird position. Like, I get it, but at the same time, like, it's kind of a weird thing.
Yeah.
So then they realize, like, maybe instead of, like, the whole group, who they really need to convince is Nuria, because she's the leader. So Picard, he says, I'm going to show her how the magic works. Mm-hmm. In which I could not stop laughing. I know he says something after that, but, like, that one line really killed me. So they bring Nuria aboard the ship, and he truly does the worst. If his plan was to convince her he's not a god, truly went the wrong way of this when he beams her up, because this would very much put me in the opposite direction, because he, like, takes her hands and is like, I'm sorry, this was just truly, like, this would suck me in, this would not deter me, this whole bit. So he takes her hand and he goes, look at me. Feel the warmth of my hand. The rhythm of my pulse.
Yeah, it was a little too romantic, eh?
Yeah, I was like, this would not help me. This would truly just make it worse. This would make me want to believe in you more. And I don't believe in much, but like, then to make it worse and to truly would have made me just, like, lose my mind. Then he, like, so he's holding her hands, and then he's also speaking to her in a very soft, like, very nice, soothing voice. And then he, like, puts his, like, 3 fingers underneath her chin to, like, lift it up. And I was like, why would you do this?
Yeah.
It's like, are you trying to seduce me into your religion?
It's like, stop acting like a god.
Yeah, I was like, this would only make me a harder believer.
Yeah.
This would make me more invested in the, like, cult of Picard at this point. Yeah, this would truly, if Picard ever wants to become a cult leader, I think he's got it in the bag. He would be, like, he would, get a following in a second. Like, it wouldn't even be that hard. Oh my God. So, then he then brings her on to another part of the ship so she can see stuff, and he can prove to her this is just, like, a different, everybody, there's different not forms, but different states, I guess, of their, cultural evolution and whatnot. And he thinks he's, like, sort of getting it to her, but then and she's sort of understanding. But then she's like, so there was, like, a flood last year and, like, 6 people died, including children. Can you bring them back? And he's like, the fuck? He's like, Jesus Christ, did none of this, like, stick in? And so then he, like, brings her to the medical place, Met Bay?
Yeah.
God, I can't remember term. Sick bay. Right. Sick bay, to literally watch someone die, for him to be like, look, see, we die too. We all die. Like, look, we all die. And she was just like, oh, okay. So we all die. And
Yeah, the timing on that was a little convenient.
oh boy. Meanwhile, there's like the group where like Ray is just, Ray is just going above and beyond to just pull shit out of his ass, and he's coming up with all these things. Oh yes, he decides wait, I'm getting confused. I think I'm getting ahead of myself. Oh, so like Ray is praying to Picard because he's coming up with these plans that like they need to do something about Troy. Picard and Nuria come back, and so now Ray is confronted with Picard trying to explain to him that, you know, I'm just a person. We're all just people. And Ray decides to, like most religious fanatics, to really take it to a new level. And decides, you know, this would be a definitely appropriate time to shoot Picard with a fucking arrow.
Yeah.
So Picard's like, listen, you shoot me, and I live, I'm a, like, basically you shoot me. If I'm mortal, I die. If I'm not, then, like, you know, I'm all powerful, I live, whatever. And Ray is like, I accept your challenge, and shoots him. Full out shoots him in the shoulder. And Nuria then like puts her hand, like she goes to see Picard's injury, and she like shows Ray his like blood on her hands, and Ray's like, that clip from, you know, Arrested Development, Job being like, I've made a huge mistake. So yeah, Picard, yeah, so eventually the group has to like consider, yeah, Picard is like not a god, he's just some really hot dude. That pretty much could be in like another lifetime. So like they're not that far off, but like in actuality he's just a person, he's just a dude. And yeah, my concern is Ray is definitely going to find something else to become a religious fanatic over.
Yep.
Because that guy, yeah, that man, this is not going to be enough for him. I think, I wonder if he got off on like the power of it, because he took over real fast. He got real excited about having to like harm Troy. Yeah. Did not like that. But yeah, this was like a very heavy-handed of like...
religion bad.
Religion.
Heavy-handed? Yeah. It was like a sledgehammer. Yeah. Holy fuck.
That's why I actually...
the heaviest hand.
I like this episode. I usually, when I'm going through TNG, I choose to watch it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't like the message that, like, religion equal bad. Because, like,
it is very simplistic.
Yeah, I'm not religious. I mean, I grew up Catholic, but I don't think I ever was, like, fully into it. You know, we were a church at Christmas and Easter family, you know. But I still, like, I don't think religion isn't inherently bad.
No, it's people using it badly.
Yeah. And the thing is like, people can use anything to, you know, do bad things. It's not necessarily, like, just religion.
Yeah, but it seems to be the favorite in terms of excuses.
Yeah. And something I only just clicked is, did they name that guy Palmer because that actor's from Twin Peaks?
I didn't think about that, actually. That's possible. There's nothing about it in any of the background information that I found, but there's very little background information on this episode. It seems like it was just kind of a routine production.
But didn't Twin Peaks come out in the early 90s?
Oh.
Yeah, I think this is like...
Yeah, this would have predated it.
Yeah.
Oh.
So that's just a coincidence.
Yeah, that's just a coincidence.
So is Twin Peaks a Star Trek reference?
Ooh, maybe. Maybe it's the other way around.
Twin Peaks, Star Trek, same shared universe.
Yeah, maybe they named Laura Palmer after this Palmer.
Yeah, exactly. They were like, hey, Ray, you're being cast in this. Were you ever in a show with someone with, like, just one single name? And he was like, yes, TNG. There was a guy named just Palmer. And he's like, oh, interesting. That should be the last name of the murder victim.
But, yeah, I definitely agree that that Liko Ray in this
Yeah.
episode is he's playing it up too much. He's playing it up to an amount that is definitely overacting, and he's like consistently overexcited and overreacted to everything. And like, it's fine that you can argue that that's his character and whatnot, but for a society that is supposedly rational, he and the rest of the group go from rational to literally believing in a god in like split seconds, and literally trying to like please the god and do whatever they can for it. And at that point, the only like hard evidence that they have that this is happening is his own experience and a guy that they don't recognize.
Yeah. I could argue that he sort of went through a trauma of being essentially like he was abducted by aliens.
Yes, yeah,
right?
I can agree with that too.
He went through a trauma and is like just really trying to fucking like work it out, and is like in personal crisis.
While I would love to give them credit for that, I don't really think that I can, given the depth of the rest of the episode. I like the rest of the episode does have depth. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trashing it there, but I think that their ideas when writing him were most likely, he's a fanatic now.
Yeah.
And I'm a little disappointed in that. Very rarely will the writers actually think about the motivations much further than is enough to motivate the story, which is the only reason that I doubt it, because there were a couple of other issues, like the fact that he recognized everything that was being said in sickbay. He could point out the name the Picard, despite the fact that he doesn't have a universal translator in his ear. So how's he understand it?
Well, I think they've established that only one person needs to have the universal translator in order for people to be able to understand.
Yes. Okay, that's a good point. Okay, fair enough. I'll give you that, I guess. Where was I going with that?
I just fucked your whole thing, didn't I?
You did. No. But no, the rest of the episode is going for that like really hammy approach, and he fits with the rest of the approach of the episode just in general.
Yeah,
which is why I don't think that they thought that hard about whether he's going through trauma or not.
Oh yeah, I totally agree. Definitely, like, given the rest of the episode and stuff, it's very obvious they're just like, we need to, we can't waste time on this. We need to like get him fanatical quick.
Yes.
But for whatever reason, I always like to try to make the puzzle pieces fit.
Yeah, I agree.
I just kind of always perform this exercise in my brain of like, is there a way that this could make sense?
I like breaking down the things that I was uncritical of when I was younger. So our approach is fundamentally different there.
Yeah, for sure. I just like for me, it's like I'm pretty confident that was not their intention.
Yeah.
But it's interesting to think about, like, is there a way that this can make sense? Yeah.
I am kind of disappointed by the fact that the group was like way too quick to start coming up with brand new myths.
Yes.
And it was like, guys, you for a society that is being described as very rational, this ain't it. You were just looking for an excuse to fly off the handle, and you did.
Yeah. Like, maybe okay. I was just about to do another thing of like rationalizing. Because what I was thinking is like, maybe this guy, maybe he was like familiar with the stories, and he like kind of had like, maybe it was kind of on the back burner in his head of like, oh, maybe that is true, like, they believed this and stuff, and and like maybe this just like fed into that, like something that was already kind of seeded in his brain.
Yeah, I could see that. I think that that this episode could actually make a really good longer story if they wanted to delve more into it, because there is more there, and I quite enjoy that. Mm-hmm.
And it definitely, like, from what I remember, actually, I don't think it gets into the ethics of like observing a primitive culture.
Not until Star Trek Insurrection, I think.
Yeah.
Which, to be fair, the way that they're doing it there is not particularly well handled either. So, yeah, because that's just a dumb action movie in the end.
Yeah, Insurrection is like it's a very mediocre TNG episode, essentially.
Bet you can't wait to get to the movies, Dory.
I'm psyched. Can't wait.
Some of them are really funny
Yeah.
and have fantastic moments.
Insurrection's like, it's watchable.
Yeah, it is. But just wait until we get to the one where Tom Hardy's the villain.
Wait, like Tom Hardy?
Tom Hardy, the actor. It was his first big break.
Oh my God.
He nearly quit acting over it and nearly committed suicide over the results.
What? No.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I can't tell you more. And you can't look
Holy
into more.
shit.
Whoa,
You'll have
I
to
didn't
wait.
realize that it was that
Yeah,
extreme.
he was suicidal for a while. And it wasn't
Jesus.
because
Oh my God.
it wasn't because of how like he did, because I personally think that especially seeing some of the background of the movie, that he's fantastic in it, and
Oh, yeah.
he did
I mean,
what
he
he could with what he had.
Yeah, he did what was required of what they gave him, I think.
Well, also the director definitely toned him down, and they limited him with his costume choices that really held back on how much physical acting he could do. I don't know if you remember, he had that fucking like weird like PVC thing that was odd. I don't know.
Yeah.
I won't get into the details of the movie.
That entire movie's a mess. But,
Yes, but either way, afterwards, not only was the fan reception and the box office reception so bad for it that it kind of like blackmarked him for a little while, but he took that really badly because he was also a Star Trek fan. And he did not like the results of how any of it went. He put a lot of himself into that big chance to be in a big franchise, to be in like a bigger movie. And afterwards he kind of backed off from acting and from doing things for I think 2 or 3 years at the most.
What year did this movie come out?
2002.
2002. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. That's awful. I'm a big fan. I think he's such a good actor.
You will like him in that. You'll just hate the movie.
Even like, have you guys seen Venom?
No,
That
not
movie
yet.
I haven't actually.
is wild. It's on Netflix. There was a movie a couple years ago. Tom Hardy is Eddie Brock. This movie is absolutely wild. It makes no sense. It makes like the tones are all over the place. It like they had, I think there was a lot of like issues behind the scenes because this movie has no idea what it wants to be.
Mm-hmm.
It is still fun as fucking hell, and he is so fun in this movie. It's a ride. It's an absolute ride. Then there's a sequel coming out soon. I think it's called Carnage, and I am very excited because
it's called Let There Be Carnage.
Yes,
and the joke is because Carnage is the other symbiont.
Yeah, because Carnage
yeah.
is another guy.
It's a pun.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw the trailer for it. This movie looks wild.
I've heard good things about the Venom movie.
It is truly bonkers. Like, I enjoyed it immensely. I will absolutely watch it again, but it is like all over the place. It's, it's a lot. But he's so fun. Like, he really he was committed, and I enjoy that. I do find he's a very committed actor. He had he'd show up a few times in the show Peaky Blinders, and he was so good. So good. Watch Peaky Blinders if you haven't. It's a good show, mostly. Well,
I think I have, yeah.
I like costume dramas, so. Yeah, Tom Hardy's great on Peaky Blinders. Anyways, yes to Tom Hardy. That's absolutely so sad that he felt that way after he was in the movie. That's so sad.
At least his career has gone very well since then. So
yes,
you don't have to feel too bad for him.
And it was very not his fault.
Yes,
yeah,
absolutely.
Okay, yeah. I did just see he was on the red carpet for Let There Be Carnage, and he was just in like a shirt and jeans, and he brought his dog.
Yeah, that's because he's just chill.
Why not?
It's very cute. It's great. I like it a lot. Thanks for coming to Tom Hardy Corner. Yeah. That becomes like a regular segment every episode. We talk about some Tom Hardy.
Oh. So, back to the topic at hand.
Tom Hardy?
No, that's the Tom pick at hand. I'm so funny. give me an Oscar. So what I really like
Leo
about
got
this.
Uh,
Sorry,
That is
sorry.
true.
Go.
All right. So yeah, this episode is one of many Star Trek message episodes, and
yeah.
it is definitely the one of the more ham-fisted variety. But yeah, I was quite excited for you to get to this one because I always remember it fondly. And going back into it, I noticed there's no filler in this episode at all. It's going strong throughout the whole thing. There isn't a part where it really wanes. I do think a bit of the characterization at the beginning is a little strange with there's a fucking disaster happening and Picard's reaction is to just stare blankly at the screen, which is definitely not Picard.
Yeah, like nobody moves when there's like the explosions are happening in the lab.
It's very interesting because I don't think this message is any less ham-fisted than previous message episodes.
No,
and yet,
it's not.
And yet I don't get annoyed by this one. I actually enjoy this episode.
I think it could be because while the message is still just as ham-fisted as them, it's not all delivered in a cringy way. Like being ham-fisted just means that it's like forced in your face, so like it's there.
Yeah, it's very obvious.
Yeah, and with a lot of the other episodes, it would be very obvious too, but it would be delivered in a situation where it was treating you like an idiot. And this one is definitely not treating the audience like an idiot. It is saying, this is the stance that we're taking. We're going full ham on it. We are taking it as seriously as possible, but we're still treating the message respectfully.
Yeah. I guess the previous episodes, like Neutral Zone, is like, capitalism bad, idiot.
Yeah.
And this one is just like, yo, I think religion fucking sucks.
Yeah, it's dangerous, and here's why it's dangerous.
Yeah,
Believe me.
Yeah, but it skipped the idiot part.
Yes. Yeah, it just quietly took the idiot word and was like, let's just put that in the script instead, and we're good.
Yeah, and it also, like, those previous episodes, I think, like, the way they delivered it, I totally agree. They were boring. It's like they were ham-fisted, and it was boring.
Yes.
And I guess this one, it was actually, like, interesting to watch.
Yeah, definitely.
Because I thought, like, okay, Dory, I totally agree that, like, overall, Picard did a really bad job of, like, convincing her that, like, he's not a god.
He would have convinced me more he's a god.
Yeah. But I specifically really like that exchange in the conference room when he's, like, trying to logic it out with her. Being like, hey, like, your people used to live in caves, right? And she's like, yeah. And, like, now you live in huts. Like, yeah. So why do you live in huts now? It's like, because huts are better. Caves are cold and wet. Which I always just found awkward, that line.
Me too, but, like, she's also thinking about it on the spot, and it's clearly something that she has not put that much thought into before.
And then his next thing is, like, so, like, why did you used to live in caves if huts are better? And she's like, well, it would be reasonable to assume that, we just didn't know how to make huts at some point. And then, like, sort of the thing goes on from there, and he's like, imagine what what one of your ancestors would think if they saw you now. Like, they would think, like, the tools that you have are, like, magical, because, like, they have no concept of it. And he tries to relay that back of being, like, we're not magical, we just, like, have some more
we just
knowledge.
have something better than huts.
Yeah, like, we just have some, like, more knowledge and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And I get that he can't get too deep into it because he doesn't want to violate the Prime Directive. One thing that annoyed me is I don't think he made the connection clear enough of like, so it's the same thing with you. It's like, we appear magical to you, but really, like, we just have more knowledge. And we're not gods. We just have more knowledge. Mm-hmm. Which, like, could be what a god is anyway, honestly.
Yeah, Star Trek has actually made that particular point several times before, and will make it again, I believe. Mm-hmm. But I think what frustrates me is they get to that moment outside of the conference room, back to his ready room, and she ends up asking him, like, why he can't bring people back from the dead and whatnot. And he's just like, I failed to get through to you. And it's like, no, you didn't explain what the limits of your abilities were.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm glad that he does that next by showing her an example, but you haven't tried to tell her what the limits are yet. And so she's making assumptions as a leader based on where she thinks your limits are because she's already seen you technically save somebody.
Yeah, he should have just been like, that person was injured, we fixed them, that's it.
Yeah, they thought he was dead. Like,
yeah.
But, yeah, he didn't, at least we didn't see on screen him explain that, like, he wasn't dead. And you're right, Jeff, I was also frustrated at that moment where she's like, have we done something to offend you? Like, that kind of, like, she's like trying to understand, and he doesn't respond. He's like, listen, you've done nothing. Like, there are just, like, I literally cannot bring people back from the dead. It's not because I don't want to. It's because I physically cannot.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
because he says it's beyond my power, and she says, why? And then immediately brings up the example of him, as far as she knows, bringing someone else back from the dead. Mm-hmm. So, like, she already has a precedent for believing that this is your power. You have to explain that it's not, and you haven't done that yet, as far as we know.
Yeah, and he doesn't respond to that question.
No, he
also,
doesn't.
He didn't even do it. Why didn't he just say, we have doctors, she saved him? Like, he didn't even do anything. He just was in the room.
He's just like, let's watch someone die.
Yeah.
This will hammer down the point.
Mm-hmm. You know that the, like, random trauma of being up here in a spaceship? Let's make it worse.
I love how the guy was super upset that she died for, like, 1 second before the doctor pulled him away and just left this dead person here when normally they have, like, a ritual of covering them up or something. But, like, she died painfully, too.
Yeah.
Like, she was clearly not doing well. They could have stopped that.
You know what I kept thinking about? So the person who died, her name was Mary Warren, like the character. And when she dies, she's like half, like the top half of her, like she's kind of like hanging off the side of the, like she's not centered on the bed.
Yeah.
And that bothered me so much. I kept thinking, please don't fall off. Please don't like, because now I was just going to say she's dead weight. So like I worried she'd just slide right off, but that's, sorry, that's not the best way to put it.
Yeah.
So she's dead weight. I'm sorry.
Well, she is dead weight.
I didn't even notice that you said that. Yeah, I didn't even take it that way.
Whoops. He just isn't like I don't know why he just didn't like fully like lay it out more clear.
Yeah,
because I don't think it's like that hard of a thing to explain. Because like he did a decent job, like when he explained to her like the hut versus caves. Mm-hmm. But then, like, when he's, like, he's holding her hand, being like, I'm human. It's like, that doesn't prove you don't have powers.
Yeah.
That just shows you have a body.
Yeah. Because, like, we don't know what the myth of the Overseer is. Like, most...
Yeah.
Like, I think a lot of... Especially if you're, like... part of like the Abrahamic religions and stuff like Christianity, Judaism, Islam, that sort of thing. You think of God as this like supernatural being, as like not human. But there are religions where like the gods are physical beings, you know? So it's like, we don't know, like being a physical being like flesh and blood and stuff doesn't necessarily disqualify you as a god. Depending on what the belief system is.
Yeah, I mean, Jesus was a person.
Yeah.
Muhammad was a person.
Yeah. And, I mean, they're technically not gods, though. They're prophets, which is different for some reason. Although, Catholicism's
like people
fucking
pray
weird.
to them, don't they? Sorry if I'm wrong. I'm sorry. Let's say these are not my areas of expertise.
Yeah, they are... they're considered prophets. They're not considered gods. Unless you're in Catholicism, where Jesus is he's part of God, sort of. Catholicism's weird. They try to say they're monotheistic, but, like, they're kind of not. Because there's God, Jesus, and the Holy Ghost, which make up the Holy Trinity.
Which, very quick side note. I had a whole debate with some of my... Because, like, who is the ghost?
I don't know. I grew up Catholic. I don't know.
Oh, he's also Jesus and God. Also, Jesus is God. Also, the Son of God.
Because there was a whole debate with my friends of like, well, who's the ghost? Who's the spirit? Like, how is it 3 different things if it's technically 2 things with a combo of 2? What?
That's why I said like Catholicism's wild.
It's confusing. I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, religion is. Yeah, I think that sums it up.
It's complicated.
Religious is. It did seem though that this was very like Christianity based, as like Dr. Barron very specifically mentioned like crusades, inquisitions,
Yeah.
etc. So
Yes.
that
Yeah.
makes sense.
I mean, I think there's been other whole like religious wars and stuff like that, but Christianity really went full ham on that.
Well, because I mean, isn't the whole deal to be like everybody needs to be part of Christianity? Isn't that sort of the
Keeping in mind, this was one of the heights of like when this episode was written. This was one of the heights of like evangelical Christian culture in the United States.
Yeah. This was like when it was really getting.
Yeah, it was starting to make its way onto cable TV, which was very new at the time.
Be like really big. Yeah.
Yeah, it was getting like
that's when all
national
those,
attention.
Like television preachers and stuff started being big and that kind of thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
fun times?
It's so weird because before I was reading something that like before sort of I think it was like before Ronald Reagan, evangelicals were actually like pro-choice.
Yeah, they were also they were a very small minority. Like the evangelical movement got very big under Reagan, and also bolstered Reagan's success, and he catered to them.
Yeah. And I forget why exactly their stance on abortion changed. They explained it in the thing I was reading, but I forgot.
Yeah, I would have to look into it again. I might have been reading or watching the same thing.
Anyway.
Religion.
Anyway, evangelicals are... Ugh.
Yeah.
No, thank you. No, thank you.
Luckily, it's a very small movement in Canada and does not have much effect up here at all.
But it does in the United States, which does affect outside of the United States.
Oh, I'm aware. I think in the U.S., something like 20 some odd % of people identify as evangelical. And like the actual amount that would count as evangelical is in the teens, I believe. But in Canada, it's something like 6%. It is super low up here.
Yeah. And the thing is like, so one of the reasons why I don't just go like religion bad is because in a lot of small communities, the only social place is the church.
Yep.
That's also why a lot of small communities are like, especially if the church that's in town is a very extreme church. That's why a lot of small towns are extreme.
Yeah.
But that's why sort of the faith is very high there, is like really your only sort of central social place is church. And like, you know, that's where you make all your connections. That's probably where you're going to meet all your friends and like your partners. And that's probably where they're going to, you could probably get a job through there, like all that kind of stuff. It all centers around church. And I don't think that's inherently bad. But like I mentioned before, if that's like an extreme church or they have extreme beliefs and stuff, then you're kind of stuck in that.
Yeah, I think like people, I mean, believe in what you want to believe as long as it doesn't hurt other people. And I think that's when like religion really starts to, you know, people get mad with it, is because people use it as an excuse to, try to take away rights from people, try to harm people, that like because of what they believe in, therefore everybody else must abide by those rules, when it's like, okay, not everybody follows that, therefore it's like the whole concept of why church and state are separate, but like believe in what you want to believe, but like don't push it on other people, and don't, if it doesn't like, just it shouldn't hurt or affect other people.
Exactly.
That's
because, I think like if it's not affecting the choices of other people,
because people use it too much as a defense to be hateful or to make decisions for other people that truly, like, it's none of your business. It's true, not obviously yours. In general, it's nobody's business. I'm not saying, Maggie, it's none of your business. No,
I know.
It just, in general, it's frustrating.
Yeah, I guess I meant more, like, I kind of used the wrong wording. It's not that, like, this is why I think religion isn't inherently bad. It's more of, like, this is an aspect that I think a lot of people, especially a lot of urban people, don't consider when they rally against religion. And I think it's kind of a barrier of, like, when you're trying to talk to people about the issues of religion and the church in specific, is like they kind of don't realize or forget that in a lot of places, like, that's sort of like the only central thing they have, and like that's a really big support system. Like in a lot of places it's like you'd be fucked if you didn't have like the community support of like all the people from church and that kind of thing. And like that's also what keeps people in religions, even if they are extreme, and even if like maybe they don't like fully believe in it or like don't like what's going on, is the social circle and the support system. It's like a lot of times you get like straight up like excluded and excommunicated, like if you stop believing or if you decide to leave, which is one of the issues of religion. It's like if it's a thing of like, if you stop believing, you're like, well, I'm going to stop associating with you. That's really fucked up. Like that's, that's not like, you're not really giving that person a choice. You're like, it's
believe or leave.
Yeah. It's kind of like, is extortion the right word? Like it's just like, no, I'm trying
not
to think
extortion.
Of the word.
Extortion.
There's a word for it, but I'm just trying to think of like, that like, if you want to do this, you're gonna have to like, you're gonna lose everything,
Yeah, I do get why your mind went to extortion, but
coercion.
No, extortion is
coercive.
That's the one. Yes.
Yeah, because extortion involves coercion. Yeah.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, like, I have very complicated thoughts on religion, especially like growing up in the Catholic Church and stuff like that. Like because like there's things in the Bible that I agree with, and like Catholicism in general does not take the Bible literally, and neither do I. I think like what its intention was like a book of stories to be used as a guide. And there's there's obviously some good things in there, like, help your fellow neighbor and like don't kill people and don't steal and all that good stuff. But I mean, this book was written like approximately 2,000 years ago. There's parts of it that are older and parts that are newer than that.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of stuff that is no longer applicable. And it's been translated and retranslated and retranslated and retranslated like a bunch of times. It went through like, there was this thing called the Council of Nicaea where they literally like went through and decided what would be in the Bible and what they would take out. So there's like books of the Bible that were like destroyed basically, or like officially taken out and stuff. So it's like, you can't That's why it's like you really cannot take it literally. And also why you shouldn't, I don't think you should make it like the whole center point of your life. I think it can be inspiring and it can be something that can help guide you, but I don't know. There's just so much like, there's so many problems with it that, and I'm talking in circles now. I don't really have a point. I just like, I have a lot of complicated feelings about it.
I mean, I've never read it, but I mean, I haven't heard great things, to be honest.
This is Maggie's Circle Pit.
Yeah. Like, the Old Testament's fucking wild.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's some real fun stories.
Yeah. And,
Frogs from the sky.
Yeah. The New Testament is like all the Jesus stuff. And I think a lot of evangelicals and like hard, like Christian extremists, like tend to ignore the New Testament, and they're really into the Old Testament shit.
And it's not even their book.
Yeah. Super not.
Bro.
Because FYI, if you've read, I mean, I think there's some differences, but if you've read the Old Testament, you've essentially read the Torah as well. So,
Yeah.
joke's on you.
Hey-oh. Wait, I thought they all supported Israel, though.
Oh, yeah, I saw, like...
I don't know. What's the evangelical position on that?
The evangelicals, they support Israel because they think that once all, like, basically all the Jewish people go back to Israel, that's gonna trigger the apocalypse.
They really just want it to explode.
Yeah.
It's not for good reasons. It's because they want a group of the population to die.
Yep.
So that's real fun.
Yep.
Real fun.
Welp.
Yeah, they support Israel for not great reasons.
Great.
Yeah.
It's wild to support a country you would like to end.
Yeah. That's why also, like, ISIS is actually, like, a death cult. Because I forget what the specific thing they want to do is, but they're trying to do a thing to trigger the apocalypse, essentially.
Ugh,
Yes.
why do people want to
I'm-
trigger all these apocalypses? I mean, aren't we already, we're already have the plague. Like, do we
Yeah.
need to get worse?
I think the whole thing is, like,
Ugh.
if they trigger the apocalypse, then, like, they will go to heaven or whatever.
Yeah.
And they'll be like, we don't have to deal with Earth anymore.
Oh my god.
Because God will have saved all the people who deserve it and whatnot.
Yeah.
Sorry. That was...
Yep.
Yeah.
I just, like that... It's not real. Sorry. It's not real.
No.
Sorry. It's not real. Sorry.
What they're doing is real. That's the problem.
Yeah, but like
And
this whole,
every
it's
generation thinks the apocalypse is going to happen in their lifetime.
Yes.
mean, I said this to you guys earlier, but somebody made like a thing online that all the bad stuff has happened since Leonardo DiCaprio won his Oscar.
Yeah.
So like we could be in the process of it right now, and it's not because of all these religious groups trying to blow up various places. It's Leonardo DiCaprio. Allegedly. Don't sue me. Allegedly. Because he didn't deserve the Oscar for Revenant.
Yeah. Oh, so I was going to mention earlier, like, I was going through TikTok, and I end up on Jewish TikTok a lot. I also end up on Muslim
Party?
TikTok a lot, too.
Party?
Or specifically hijabi TikTok. Like,
Party?
so this one person was saying, like, he always gets fucking pissed at, like, biblical literalists, because in Hebrew, in the English Bible, it says, in the beginning. That's how the Bible starts. That's the first phrase. And he says, like, his dad would always get pissed, and now he gets pissed about it, that in Hebrew, apparently it translates into in a beginning, not the beginning, just a beginning. So it's not like...
course.
It's not, like, fucking literal. So I found that interesting. Like, how that translation makes a big difference.
A lot of this stuff, yeah, I think, yeah, that's the, I mean, you said this before, that's the issue, is like people interpret what they want to interpret.
Yeah.
People translate what they want to translate and whatever, because, I mean, you translate in different languages, it's going to come out different.
There are literally entire like religious disciplines dedicated to interpreting and reinterpreting these translations.
Yeah. So like it truly, I don't know.
Yeah.
All of it's
Not to mention Mormons just made their own fan fiction.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff. I mean, this is sort of an aside, but there was a guy on TikTok who's like a Christian, and he went through the Hebrew alphabet and decided to translate the alphabet in a way that was Christianity specific.
Oh.
When it's like, none of it's true. None of it makes any sense. As Hebrew is not a language related to Christianity in any respect. So any kind of translation you come up with that is not accurate. You're pulling shit out of your ass to make things relevant to something that is absolutely nothing to do with you. Like, but you're trying to use it to like add more to an argument that is, if you have to make shit up for your argument's not good.
Yeah.
It's just like, leave shit alone. Stop trying to convince everybody of your shit. Believe in your shit. Leave everybody else alone. Ugh, it's infuriating.
Yeah. It's just, I said at the beginning that I disagree that, like, this episode's message of, like, religion bad is, like, I disagree with that, but there are a lot of issues with religion. Especially, like very institutionalized religions, because those are created by man, and man is fallible.
Yeah.
You know? Well, by humanity, and humanity is fallible.
One of the things that, like, I honestly didn't find that unrealistic is the escalation of how quickly Ray goes from, like, oh, the Picard, to, like, yeah, I think we should kill Troy.
Yeah.
So, to not anger the invention that I made up.
It's the only possible explanation. We must kill Troy. There's no other solution to this.
Yeah. It truly, like, the escalation was not, but I suppose it's because of the lens we see in now, that the escalation did not surprise me. Like, it went fast, but was not surprising.
Also, one thing I wanted to bring up is, like, I guess this is a nitpick, but, like, if your god is saying, hey, I don't want you to treat me as a god, why wouldn't you listen to that?
Because people don't care about the real, well, no, I was going to say real intent. That's not what I mean. But people, they don't care what, people want to believe what they want to believe. They don't care what the stuff says. I mean, wasn't Jesus's whole thing of, like, be nice to people and, like, you know, didn't he hang out with, like, sex workers, homeless people, whatever? I don't know the whole thing. It's not my dealio, if you will.
But no, you're essentially correct. Yeah, he was an outcast of society.
Yeah, but then now the people who are, like, such, like, you know, who are so strongly, you know, everything Christianity, they are super homophobic. They see sex work as bad. And it just, like, it kind of feels like the opposite of what was preached.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it makes sense in this. Like, I think this is a perfectly logical response of, like, you know, the quote unquote God saying, hey, don't treat me like that. And the person being like, hey, but let me treat you like this.
And that's why I also agree with Picard's position of not, because the scientist dude basically asks him to give the Mintakans commandments. And it's like, you know, that didn't work out so great here.
Yeah. Like, yeah, when I first watched the episode, and I was like, oh, okay, some guidelines might work. But then the more we go in, and, like, the more I start thinking about, like, in real life, it's like, yeah, people, no. Because isn't the one, the commandments, like, love thy neighbor or something? The one I always laugh at is the don't covet thy neighbor's wife or something.
Yeah.
It's so specific. Like, I get the thing of it. I just think that's a funny way to put it. Anyways, yeah, so, like, love thy neighbor, and yet, like, all we see these days are, like, people attacking people in the street for, like, I don't know, for just racism, for, like, just
for
all this
wanting
different
a
kinds
vaccine.
Yeah, for people just wearing masks, people come up to them and start breathing or coughing all over them because people just want to like be safe.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, I think it doesn't, I don't think ultimately, I think religion is it. I don't even think it's about the belief of a higher power, because people will just use it to suit whatever they want it to suit. So like, yeah, it's not about an actual, I think, belief system at this point. It's just an excuse to it's an excuse to truly have to say whatever you want, to do whatever you want. It's a way to excuse behavior, pretty much.
Yeah. And I think there's also this thing of, like, life is complicated, and I think there's people who want a black and white answer. They want a structure. They want just to be told what to do, and that there is a very clear right and wrong, and that they're going to be able to live their life by that, and, like, just have everything simplified.
We live in a gray world.
Yeah, which is, like, I mean, I totally understand that. It's like, can I just get a simple answer, please?
No.
But I think that's where you kind of walk that dangerous line of, like, the more you simplify stuff, the less nuance you have, and the less, like, the more extreme things get, when you eliminate all that gray in between.
I think, religion is complicated. It shouldn't be, but it is.
Yeah.
And I mean, I have friends who are Christians, and that's fine, because what they believe in, within their religion doesn't hurt anybody. Like, they're like, allies to LGBTQ plus community, which is great, because truly, if you're not at this point, it's not religion. You're just a homophobe and a piece of shit. I'm not saying sorry for that. It's just blatantly at this point. No, go fuck yourself. General go fuck yourself. Yeah. Because religion can be like, it's truly the people. It's how you use it. You can weaponize it, or you can, use it. It's for, I guess, everything. Use it for good or use it for evil.
Jeff, I don't know what you think about this, because you grew up, like, completely non-religious, right?
Very true, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't have a lot of thoughts on it in the end. When it comes to things that I don't have personal experience with or some level of expertise, I tend to try to shut up, because, it's better to say nothing than to say something stupid.
Yeah. I mean, it's always a good move to listen. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And, like, I don't want to be the, like, I don't have a problem with religion. It's organized religion I have a problem with. Yeah. Because, like, similar to you, it's far too complicated to limit it to that. And, I also recognize that religion has had its importance when it comes to community gatherings and things like that, and it still does in a lot of places, especially in Canada, where I found out that we're actually a lot more religious than I thought we were last time I looked into it. But, like, the amount of vitriol that ends up coming from religious groups is the kind of stuff that's just made louder by the internet. That doesn't mean that it's a bigger problem than it was 20 years ago. It means that they have a louder voice, and that's about it. And, like, I do like this episode and how it approaches religion for the time period that it was made in.
Yeah. And I totally understand your position on that. It's like, I don't know about this, so I'm just going to listen, that kind of thing. But I think it is valuable to hear your experience and your thoughts as someone who grew up without that context, because you, like...
You know what's actually weird about that? Yeah. I feel incredibly uncomfortable stepping into any kind of religious institution or religious gathering.
Yeah.
I immediately feel uncomfortable. I feel like I'm disrespecting the people who are there by being there, even though I know I'm not. But it's just this, like, deep-seated discomfort that I have just by being there, whether it's a wedding or, like, a funeral or whatever. Just every time that I'm there, I'm just looking around like, should I just not interact with anything here? Yeah. Would that be more respectful? I don't know.
I mean...
Because in the end, I have respect for the people there. I have the respect for their values. I don't have respect for their beliefs. I completely disagree with them, and if it helps them, fine. I'm not going to argue because it's not hurting me. It's not hurting other people. God, I hope. But it's not a situation where I feel comfortable calling them out in either. So like I'm not gonna do anything there and be the the goth kids saying, "How dare you be religious?" like while standing in front of a church and acting all edgy and whatnot. So
yeah, I think that's inappropriate, but I think just being there definitely is not.
Oh, I agree. It's an irrational thought
Yeah.
that I have when I'm there. It's not something that I have any control over. It just happens. And the thing is, if I were born 200 years ago, I could see myself being a Protestant or something like that. I could see myself being a very liberal religious person without too much thought into it, but still a good degree of it, because I tend to be pretty self-analytical. So there is that. I also could have been a serf, so I mean, who the fuck knows? Because like more people were poor back then.
Yeah.
But the situation that I feel we're in because of religion, in terms of like political problems, is definitely what I end up having a problem with far more than people who just worship or believe in it for themselves. And I can still respect a person and their beliefs when I know them personally, and have a problem with the religion that they're part of. So for instance, we have a friend who until recently was a Jehovah's Witness, and I was always interested to sit down and listen to him explain his perspectives on things, because in the end, our values were the same. We still believed in going out and like helping other people as much as possible and making a difference to the people around us, because we believed in being compassionate and caring about the people around us, and we believed in like a collective kind of unity, which seemed to be at odds with his religion. And fun fact, in the end, it was at odds with his religion, and he hasn't stuck with it because of it. But I don't like speaking out against religion in general, because in general, like you said far earlier in the conversation, Maggie, it isn't religion that's the problem. It's what people use it for to justify what they're doing.
And you're really like, that's also not going to be constructive.
Right.
Because religion is such a personal thing, I don't think there's a way you can diss an entire religion without someone taking it personally.
No, because you're attacking people's personal identity.
Yeah, and their whole belief system and stuff. But I think you can have conversations about those beliefs and stuff, like on a more personal level.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's definitely difficult when you have like a big issue with like the whole system, you know?
Yes.
Of like, how do you say like,
Yes.
I don't hate you as an individual? It's like, but this whole system is like fucked, you know?
Yeah. Well, in a lighter note, this marks a year since we began recording our episodes. I don't know if it'll be a year between when we actually put out the episode or not. I think we're quite a bit ahead in terms of recording.
Yeah.
So.
I think this will come out later in October.
Okay, so happy September, everyone.
Yeah.
From the past.
Because we also didn't post our first couple episodes till way after we recorded them.
That's very true, yes.
We recorded our first episode September 17th, 2020, and then we released our first two at the beginning of November. I don't remember the date off the top of my head.
Ah, cool.
But, yeah.
So in the case of that, I'd like to ask a question to both of you. I'd like to ask about your favorite moments in this episode, but what have been your favorite moments recording with us, guys?
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I guess let's get that episode out of the way, and then we can go into that.
Yeah, sounds
Okay.
good. Sounds good. Episode first.
Let's do favorite episode moments, and then we'll reflect on the podcast.
Okay, episode moments. I have a few. Number 1, Picard trying to convince Nuria that he was not a god when he first meets her, and he's like taking her hands in his hands and does his little speech, and I was like, bro. To be 100% clear, when I say that, like, I would join, like, if I was in this position, I'm not easily convinced for that sort of thing. But, like, if I was in Nuria's position, I would believe harder.
Mm-hmm.
I would be like, yes. Yeah. Because that's, like, honestly, almost a seduction in a way.
Yeah.
He just, honestly, I was like, please, keep holding my hands. And I'm not a particularly affectionate person. But I was like, Picard, keep going.
Yeah. For Picard, I am.
Yes. I also really liked Troy and Riker's conversation when they arrived on the planet in their cosplay. Troy goes, Mintakan motions are quite interesting. Like the Vulcans, they have highly ordered minds, a sensible people. For example... Mintakan women precede their mates. It is a signal to other women. And then Riker goes, this man's taken. Get your own? And then Troy goes, not precisely. More like, if you want his services, I'm the one you have to negotiate with. And then Riker goes, what kind of services? Troy goes, all kinds. And then Riker goes, they are a sensible race. This is super offhand, but Ray goes, the Picard will be pleased.
Oh, God, yes.
So funny.
I was going to point that out. That is probably my favorite line in the whole episode. But I'll tell you my second favorite later.
It's so good.
Yeah, it's really funny, them saying the Picard.
Yeah, the Picard is pretty funny. Yeah, I guess that's it. That's it. There's just some, like, good lines in this. Yeah.
That's fair. I have to admit, I cracked up. This is probably my other favorite moment. I cracked up when what's his fucking nut? Liko says, I awoke in an incredible place. And I'm just like, sick bay?
Oh, yeah. Also, the lighting of Picard when Ray wakes up. That was pretty great.
Yeah.
Absolutely,
just that
yes.
soft lighting.
I really like the specific exchange where Picard's trying to logic out sort of the advancement of the civilization with Nuria, I think was her name.
Yeah.
So when he's doing the whole bit of, like, you know, how come you used to live in caves and why do you live in huts and stuff like that. I really liked that part. I just liked that. I liked that whole, like, logical sort of, like, step-by-step deal. And that was kind of, like, I generally enjoyed the episode overall. So that's kind of the moment that, like, sticks out in my brain the most.
All right.
Yeah. Wouldn't say I don't have much favorites, but...
What about your favorite moments recording with us?
See, I don't know if I can, like, pick out moments, but, like...
The first time that we went through a big science explanation with Dory, and she was just like, whoa.
Oh, that's my favorite
you know what?
bits is,
the
like,
Carl Sagan one. The like
Yes.
different time, like the different, like, space and verse, like multiverse stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That was the one, I think, with, like, We'll Always Have Paris, that one. I don't remember if that's the title.
Yes.
Yeah.
But that
I
one,
think
I
so,
like
yeah.
lost my mind. I ended up watching the Carl Sagan show, and I lost my mind during that too.
Fantastic.
Yeah, whenever we blow your mind with, like, science stuff is, like, very funny to me.
Oh, you know
Dory
what?
loves having her mind blown.
I do. You know what I liked? Do you remember? It was like the joke where, like, the atmosphere on Mars, where,
Yes.
like, we set up twinkly lights and have an ice cap on Mars. I think there's also Doritos mentioned in that episode.
There damn well better be.
I love the atmosphere of Mars.
Yeah. Because I think I was trying to explain to you how realistically they could create an atmosphere on Mars, and then you jumped in with, like, the twinkle lights, and, like, that was really funny.
I did really, really like, this is the episode we just released, but when we were talking about taking a shit in the replicator.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. In general, I really like our sidetracks, to be honest. I know they annoy some people, but, like, I like it.
We like them. Yeah, me too.
Tell us what your favorite moments were, everyone, and maybe we'll do more of them, but more likely we'll just not.
I think it's a good time we record.
Yeah, we literally did this just to fill time during the pandemic.
Yeah, it was for
That's
fun,
true,
and we
yeah.
just like keep going with it because it's super fun.
And now that the pandemic's over, oh wait.
You know what? You know it's a good one? Our first episode, because I think like I was kind of nervous our first episode because I've never done a podcast or anything like this before, and I was like, what if we have like a hard time? Like I've been friends with you guys for quite a while at this point, but like I was like, what if we have sort of a hard time getting into it? And then like literally right off the bat, we just like jumped in, and the first episode is so wild, and then the second episode I think was also like a big, like it just. Those were just really fun and just jumped in.
I think the second episode, like, we really found our footing.
Yeah, the what is it called? The Naked Now.
Yeah.
That episode, I think, really kind of, like, clicked. I mean, the first episode is great. It's really fun. But, like, we just lost it. We lost it on Naked Now. That episode, truly.
What I love about the first episode is your episode recap, because it's the first time you've had any sort of like actual exposure to Star Trek that wasn't just like, you know, what you gleaned from culture. Like it was your first time like sitting down and watching one and just like seeing your reaction of like, I did not expect it to go this way.
Yeah, I mean, truly, my only exposure to this stuff was like I had seen the J.J. Abrams movies a billion years ago, but truly ask me the plot of any of them and I can't give you anything. Other than,
dude, I can't give you the
like,
plot of those movies, and I like Star Trek.
I can remember who played some stuff. Can't remember half the people's names. I can tell you Bruce Greenwood was in one, or maybe more. I don't know.
Two of them.
Yeah.
But
and he died.
Did he? See, I don't even remember that.
Yeah. It's also funny because this whole this concept was your idea.
Yeah, I thought it would be fun.
Yeah.
I mean, we truly, like, we hung out a lot last summer, and it's like missing doing something constructive and, you know, creative. And this was like a nice sort of fun way to, you know, do both. And, you know, learn new things. Because, I mean, in addition to learning about Star Trek, I've been learning about science.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to like another science heavy episode because I do like learning about this stuff because I don't think we've had one in a bit.
Yeah, I don't think so.
That's true. Yeah, we haven't had one in a little while.
Yeah.
There isn't one coming up immediately, but there will be more.
Yeah,
Oh, nice.
because I think they're sort of pivoting more sort of character stories now.
For a while,
yeah.
yeah.
I mean, I do enjoy the route that we're taking. I think now, like into season 3, seeing like the difference, I do like this way of storytelling that they have like one main, you know, story, and then like there's kind of like the Picard bit and then the like the planet bit, which are like still connected. So to me, doesn't even feel like two different stories. It's still all connected. So I do like that they're doing this. This I think works way better now after seeing how the different versions of it. Because like I always think about Conspiracy, because I think that was sort of like one of the most distinct episodes for me, like early on, that was like, oh, this could be like, if they do one story, this could potentially be very good.
Yeah.
That was also a fun episode to record because I lost my mind over the
yeah.
Dexter stuff.
Yeah. He was like full of bugs and exploded and all that.
Yeah. Also the Yar episode,
Oh,
recording that was like, it's memorable because I was so miserable and you can hear it in my voice.
Yeah.
I was so upset.
I was wondering whether you were gonna like, it was really, I can tell you, it was really hard for Jeff and I to keep that a secret.
Yes, very much
Because we're like,
so.
because you kept being like, oh, I love Yar, she's so great. I'm like so down for Yar. And it's like, oh no.
Well, I
You
was
poor
crushed.
soul.
My heart
Yeah.
was broken. And every time she makes like a low key, some kind of appearance, I get so excited. And she has had weirdly like more like little like callbacks than I would have thought she would have.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that won't stop.
That's good.
There'll definitely
yay.
be more references, yeah.
Oh, yay. But yeah, it's been really fun. I truly like, it's wild to think that a year ago we did this, considering like was going to say, what's happened in a year? What's changed for me? Nothing, but
Ew. Well,
but world-wise,
Like
yeah,
how,
shit's changed.
Yeah. Like how many times do you plan on doing a thing and then you never do it? But like we actually did it, and I think like that's the biggest thing for me is that like we talked about this and then we actually did it.
yeah, we're into season 3 now.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
we've got 4.5 seasons to go, but that's okay because like we're a third of the way there. So there we are.
And
Yeah.
like the week after we're like the next episode to come out after recording this episode is the season 2 recap, which I find very exciting.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, I said this in season 1 retrospective that I would, or I think I said it in that. I don't remember. I said in somewhere in season 1, I think, that I would write a fan episode. I will do that. Initially, I planned to do it like for after season 2. I haven't done it yet. Reasons.
That's fine.
There are reasons. I will do it because I have
It's
had.
okay. We forgive you, but we will whip you on it.
I do, because I do have like a concept, so I will do it. When? Will be a surprise for the
Perfection.
listeners, but it will happen because I do have a concept. I just have to sit down and actually do it. But as most people who write stuff know, writing is hard.
Yeah. Writing would be so much easier if you didn't have to write.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
I agree.
Just translate from my brain. I got stuff in there.
Yeah. All right. So I think we should probably cap this episode off and do our predictions for the next episode.
Ooh.
So the next episode is called, let me just pull up the name.
The Bonding.
Yeah, the next episode is called The Bonding. And I believe what we decided on your tidbit is that Worf adopts a son.
Okay. So, couple of things. Number 1, there was actively like no Worf in this episode.
Oh, yeah.
So I am very happy for a Worf-centric. I hope this is a Worf-centric episode. Unless you've done this to like throw me off and given me like it's such a minor thing.
No, I believe it.
But,
It is Worf-centric. Well,
Oh, good. Well, okay. Worf adopts a son.
yeah.
Oh my God. I love this. I love Worf.
Mm-hmm. I actually
softer side of Worf. Oh my God.
remember
this is
very
exciting.
little of this episode.
I'm very excited. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I usually skip the next one personally, but that's just because of the it's got feels in it.
Yeah.
Oh, Worf and feels. Okay. I've got one. This is also very tropey, but go with me on this. Okay, so maybe they go to a planet. What a twist.
That's weird, man. I don't think that happens in Star Trek very often.
Yeah, there's no planets. All they do is just fly around infinitely. Okay, so they go down to a planet, and maybe there is like a family in which like maybe when the Enterprise, like the away team arrives, something is in the midst of happening, and like Worf and the team watch as like these parents are killed or something, and so now this child is an orphan, and though like it's not directly responsible, but they were there, like maybe the kid, I don't know, sees like, or Worf happens to be in a I think I'm like, my brain is changing my mind as I'm saying it. Yeah, okay, so let's go with there's okay, no, different direction. Still parents murder, but okay, so maybe they arrive for a different reason, because they never arrive on the planets for the reasons that they're supposed to be there for, right?
Yeah.
So they arrive, and maybe something like they need to do something, and like the parents, or maybe it's a single parent, I don't know, 2 parents, 1 parent, either way, sorry, they're gonna die in this situation. My bad. Well, not my bad, I'm not killing them. Maybe the parent or parents, like they're gonna do something that is like illegal, but it's still right or something, and Worf is like with them trying to tell them not to do it, and then they get caught and they're executed, and Worf is already like with the family for reasons, because he just like, maybe the kid like ran into him on the street or something, and like he brought Worf home to meet his family, and then like Worf then has the responsibility of like, this kid won't like leave him, so they now have to bring this kid to like his another family, like his like maybe like cousin, like aunt, uncle, or grandparents or something elsewhere. So Worf has to like, because it's obviously not permanent, like imagine the rest of the show Worf just has like a child.
Yeah.
So obviously this is like for this episode, so Worf like is like taking care of this kid while they're transporting him to his next closest family.
Yeah.
Because it sounds like it'd be a bummer, and it sounds like Worf would have to like, he's to deal with a child.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Seeing Worf deal with a kid seems very awkward.
I'm excited. I love Worf. So like, and we know he has a softer side that can like surprise us. Well, I say surprise us, I mean me, because you guys have seen all this before. So you know what Worf's capable of. I don't yet. So he's got a tender side to him.
Yeah.
Oh, Worf.
Okay, so if you want to see if Dory's right, join us for the next episode of Fully Functional, a TNG podcast.
Goodbye.